For the past few weeks, I feel like we have had multiple reviews where we have said that we would be reviewing a weapon that was the first of its kind. And as unique as the crossbow is and the rocket-assisted pulse rifle is, both which are very good weapons, Phoneutria Fera, which is dropping from the Arms Week event, is arguably the most unique weapon Bungie has given us. It is a hand cannon, but a shotgun hand cannon.
This is my boomstick!
Now, if you're wondering what the hell is going on with Bungie Sandbox, we're getting all of these blends of archetypes and weapons. In my opinion, it really just comes down to the crafting. You see, the crafting allowed us to merge weapon archetypes together. Hell, All-Stringer, you could turn into a shotgun. And I really feel like Bungie saw that and was like, oh my God, we need to do it. We have to make that into an actual weapon. Now, we did an entire guide on how to get this hand cannon. Essentially, you play Arms Week. The currency you get from activity completions can be turned in for tier 3s of this weapon. You can also get tier 4s, but that's limited, and the tier 5 version, at least to my knowledge, just doesn't exist. Trust me. We'll be talking about that in a future video. With that being said though, today I wanted to give you a breakdown of this shotgun hand cannon. There's a lot to go over, guys. So buckle up, prepare yourselves. You're about to understand this archetype a lot more, which is important because if you're playing Trials this weekend, there's also another shotgun hand cannon that will be dropping. Now, essentially, this is like a sawed-off shotgun, but in the form of a hand cannon. It's a solar hand cannon, but again, just like a shotgun, you can see its pellet spread every time you shoot. Now, this works very much like any other shotgun. When hitting body shots, you're going to see the 12 damage numbers, but when you hit a crit, you'll see that one juicy number. Now, when it comes to range, with this roll tested here, we had a damage range of 13 meters, with damage fall off starting at around 14 meters, with 27 meters not showing any damage numbers at all. Now, you may think that's pretty limiting considering that it's a primary weapon, but understand, guys, it chunks. The purpose of this weapon type is to push you in close proximity of your enemies. The question is, does it have the perks to allow us to do so? This is where things get interesting. Here you see a number of perks only found on shotguns. In the third column, we have Barrel Constrictor, Threat Remover, Threat Detector, Slideshot, Transcendent Moment, and Proximity Power. In our fourth column, we have 1-2 Punch, Swashbuckler, Binary Orbits, Surrounded, Frenzy, and Incandescent. Let's start by breaking down some of those third column options. Barrel Constrictor is one of those shotgun perks that we find here on this hand cannon. The perk says that final blows of this weapon reduces its projectile spread for a short duration. Now, how this works is that upon getting a kill with a weapon, you'll then activate Barrel Constrictor for 7.5 seconds, which reduces that pellet spread by 20%. And you can see it in action here. It tightens the spread of the pellets alongside tightening the reticle itself. Now, this perk cannot be refreshed, but it is a solid option for better accuracy, whether you're shooting from the hip or aiming down sights. And if you got the enhanced version, the buff duration increases from 7.5 to 8.5 seconds. Now, to be honest, Barrel Constrictor has never really been a perk I went for on special shotguns, simply because the ammo economy didn't afford me another shot to follow up after I got my first kill. Granted, we have the ammo meter now, so maybe we can make a play for it, but Phoneutria here is a primary. We're not limited to special ammo, and therefore you can take full advantage of Barrel Constrictor. Another interesting perk, though, is Threat Remover, which says that dealing damage with all pellets in a spread increases reload speed, handling, and stability. A simple perk, but it provides some great stat bumps. Upon hitting 11 pellets out of our 12, we are granted bumps to stability, bumps to our handling, and a handling duration multiplier alongside a plus 60 reload speed for 7 seconds. Now, the enhanced version reduces the requirement of 11 pellets down to 10, giving it a bit more forgiveness. Now, in the same vein as Threat Remover, we have Threat Detector, which we've seen on many weapons. It provides us increased reload, stability, and handling when enemies are in close proximity. These buffs increase when there's more than one enemy within 15 meters. So 15 stability at base, but 40 stability when next to 2 enemies. 18 reload speed at base, but 60 next to 2 enemies. And 25 handling at base, but a whopping 100 handling next to 2 enemies. You also get a 0.9 times handling animation multiplier and 0.81 time multiplier within 2 enemies, which let me just say inside of PvE is such an easy thing to pull off. The enhanced version also grants us more stability and more reload speed. All around, guys, a fantastic perk. Then we have Slideshot, one of the go-to perks on shotguns. It extends our range, it's fantastic for PvP, but it also works inside of PvE. Sliding partially reloads this weapon's magazine and temporarily boosts range and stability. Now, let me just say, guys, on a special weapon, I love Slideshot, but that's also because on a normal shotgun, I'm not shooting my shotgun as much as I'm shooting this shotgun hand cannon, as this is a primary weapon. What I found is that the number of rounds that it was loading just really wasn't enough to keep up with what I was trying to do. And even though it's just a small 0.3 3-second cooldown. At least inside of PvE, I wasn't that crazy about it. I understand inside of PvP though, the range bump is nice. The ability to get a few more shots in after sliding, I completely get that. Now moving on to our last 2 perks though in the third column that are new this expansion. First, we have Transcendent Moment, which state that final blows grant bonus stats based on the weapon's damage type alignment. Light elements grant stability and handling. Dark elements grant range and aim assist. While Transcendent, this weapon gets both bonuses. This perk in general has been a bit perplexing for me, guys, because yes, it sounds great, but an issue we have seen on our side of testing is that the weapon here, for instance, will only be applying the light side of the perk, as Phoneutria Fera here is a solar weapon, and the darkness side won't be activated via abilities. Now, the only way we can get access to the range and aim assist bumps is to activate Transcendence. This will then boost our hand cannon's range by 2 meters and give us that extra aim assist. So not a complete write-off, but something to keep in mind. Now, last but not least, we have Proximity Power. This perk says that when targets are nearby, final blows grant bonus melee stats. So essentially here, guys, when 2 or more enemies are nearby, you'll get a boost to your melee stats by a whopping plus 15. Now listen, don't write this perk off completely because it does stack. It can actually go up to 3 times, and this perk lasts for 10 seconds, and as long as you're getting kills, you can keep that buff up. And then of course at 3 stacks, you're able to get that plus 45 to your melee stats. So not bad, guys. If you're in a situation where you're like trying to top off your melee stat to maybe 200, this is a means of getting to that point. But this takes us to our 4th column perks. We're gonna start with the one that everyone was most excited about, including myself, and that is 1-2 punch. This is a perk we have seen on many shotguns before. It is defined melee builds. The perk reads that hitting an enemy with every pellet in a shot increases melee damage for a short duration. Now in the past, this was a 100% increase in damage, but this got changed going into Edge of Fate along with its duration. It's now a 150% increase to melee damage for 3 seconds when activated with a shotgun. The key word here though is activated with a shotgun. It seems Bungie was very intentional here with this change, solidifying that shotguns still have a place in melee based builds, or at least when it comes to 1-2 punch. As Phoneutria here, its 1-2 punch only provides our melees a 75% damage buff for 3 seconds. Now I know what you're probably saying, Cross, that makes sense. It's a primary weapon. It's got infinite ammo. I get it, but come on, man. It would have been perfect. 150%. I need it, Bungie. Another issue we have seen is that when you activate 1-2 punch with Phoneutria here, you don't actually get the buff to pop up in the bottom left hand of your screen. Maybe just a UI problem. Hopefully this gets addressed, but it is activating and we are getting the increase in melee damage, but it is only 75%. Just don't switch off the hand cannon though, as 1-2 punch will be removed upon weapon stow. Now up next, we have a damage perk that comes in the form of Swashbuckler, which kind of makes sense for this weapon. The weapon gains increased damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon. Now you receive 1 stack of Swashbuckler perk per weapon kill with a max of 5 stacks when either getting 5 kills or getting a melee kill. Now it caps out at 33.3% more damage at 5 stacks. It's nice, and it goes kind of hand in hand with the play style of this weapon. You're going in, you're getting kills with the hand cannon, you're getting a buff, you're simultaneously getting kills with your melees, all kind of looping back into itself. And keep in mind, the hand cannon alone puts out a ton of damage, with the enhanced version lasting an extra 2 seconds, giving you even more time to get that next kill. Next, we have Binary Orbits. This is another new perk with Edge of Fate. This one says that elemental final blows opposite this weapon increases damage for a short duration. Darkness final blows boost arc, solar, and void weapons. Light final blows boost stasis, strand, and kinetic weapons. Now, pretty self-explanatory here. Getting a darkness final blow is going to boost Phoneutria Fera by 25% for 8.5 seconds, and it can be activated while stowed. It's a super easy damage buff here, not fully reaching that of Swashbuckler, but a buff that we can keep up fairly easy with another darkness weapon or ability. And the enhanced version can give us even more forgiveness in buff duration by increasing that timer from 8.5 to now 10.5 seconds. Now moving on, we have a situational perk, but one that I feel is going to work out phenomenally with Phoneutria, and that's just simply Surround It. This weapon gains bonus damage when 3 or more enemies are in close proximity. Now this is described as being within 15 meters of 3 enemies, which then grants your weapon a 40% increase with the buff lingering for 1.5 seconds once the condition is no longer met. Now this damage buff is actually pushed further with the enhanced version. This grants us a whopping 47% increase in damage. So yeah, you do have to be surrounded for this to proc, but it's a shotgun hand cannon. You're already in close proximity, considering damage fall off is around 14 meters. This is a fantastic buff, and it gets even better when we talk about synergies here later. Up next, we have Frenzy, a good perk that gives us 15% increase in damage. It also boost a ton of other things, including handling and reload speed. No, the damage buff isn't as high, but it's more of like the full package here in terms of stat bumps. The one issue though with this perk in Edge of Fate is the fact that currently the enhanced version has no effect in game. This used to provide a little more forgiveness in that damage received and dealt to proc a refresh frenzy, but that is no longer present in the live game. Now moving on to our last perk in that fourth column, we have Incandescent. Nothing new here, guys. Kills with the weapon spread scorch to targets in the surrounding area, with more powerful commands increasing that AoE. This can be buffed with things like Ember of Ashes or enhanced version, which adds +5 scorch stacks when Ember of Ashes is equipped. It's a good perk. I love it for ad clear. We also have a lot of synergy in our artifact this season for solar, so you can lean into that even more heavily. Now this takes us to our origin traits. This weapon has 2 of them, and let me just say, guys, we got a very interesting one here. Let's start with the new one, Tenacity. This origin trait says that when targets are nearby, final blows grant weapon damage, reload speed, and handling until the wielder's death. Weapon kills while within 15 meters of an enemy grant a stack of Tenacity, up to a max of 20 stacks. Each stack grants 0.5% increased damage additively and approximately +2 handling and reload speed per stack. Now one thing to keep in mind here is that you have to have more than one enemy nearby. The enemy you are killing won't count. Not something you really have to think about, but if you're confused why it's not proccing, that's why. Which is why inside of PvP it's very difficult to get going. But inside of PvE, this is a fantastic origin trait. Now the other origin trait is the Hakke Breach Armament origin trait. This says that the weapon deals increased damage against vehicles and constructs. That includes barricades, turrets, stasis crystals, and other objects created in the field. Now these damage increases are as follows. Vehicles, automatons, 15% damage increase. On turrets, sentries, and emplacements, a 30% damage increase. And then destroying stasis crystals, our damage is increased by a whopping 45%. Now the interesting thing here about stasis crystals though, is that you can already one-shot them without the Hakke origin traits, even without the whisper of rending stasis fragments. Another thing to keep in mind is that we have a ton of brigs in this expansion, and these are classified as vehicles, which would then allow us to take advantage of that 15% damage buff on top of any other buffs that we currently have. Fellas, is a reason why I keep deconstruct weapons. It's just in case. Or if it's like Thunder Doctrine, Bungie somehow messes up the encounter, bugs out the Shriekers, and then our deconstruct weapons don't even matter. Now we've broken down our different perks in this new archetype, but how do our numbers look compared to some of the other options? But more importantly, how does it look damage-wise against Coral? At base, our body damage here is 141, spread out between 12 pellets, and our crit does a total of 170 damage. Now if you compare that to just a 120 round per minute hand cannon, this gets a body shot of 57 and a crit value of 105, so definitely more. Now if we compare this to a slug shotgun, slugs give us a body shot value of 406, and a precision shots is 712. And then for our higher PvE damage shotgun options, with rapid fire shotguns, we can body shot for 497 and crit for 551. Our aggressives will body shot for 749 and crit for 829. So you can see here that special ammo shotguns do still hold the top spot in terms of overall damage. But again, that's to be expected. Phoneutria is a primary. Now once we start taking on some damage buffs, this is where we see the numbers climb. With surrounded proc, we can get a body shot of 198 and a crit damage value of 237, which is that 40% buff over base. With Swashbuckler at ×1, our body shot is 150, our crit is 181. At ×5, it goes up to 188 for our body and 226 for our crits. Now testing out our other new damage perk, we have binary orbits. We've got our 25% damage buff, increasing our body shot damage to 176 and our crit value to 212. Now remember, all of these buffs can be stacked with our Tenacity origin traits or Hakke, depending on the enemy type you're going up against, pushing those numbers even higher. And I particularly love the combination of Surrounded with Tenacity. Both of those perks really come together. And if you have the enhanced version of Surrounded, that's even more damage. Now one thing we were interested though when looking at this hand cannon was, what are our exotic armor synergies? And there were 2 here that we had in mind. One was our Titan exotic no backup plans, which boosts shotgun damage. We wanted to make sure, I know this is technically not a shotgun, and as confirmed, no, it does not boost the damage of our hand cannon here, despite it shooting like a shotgun. On the other hand though, this opened the door for another idea, and that is for our Hunter exotic Lucky Pants. As most of you know, this leg piece boosts hand cannon damage with its illegally modded holster perk. This exotic is so good, it has literally made people become hunter mains, at least temporarily. Now this activates for 6 seconds when drawing your hand cannon from stow and grants you a damage boost of 45% per stack up to 450% at 10 times. Now the issue with Phoneutria here is that it doesn't have all that much ammo in the mag to begin with. It fires at 100 rounds per minute, which isn't the fastest, especially when comparing it to something like Warden's Law, which is usually used in conjunction with Lucky Pants. So when trying to hit those max stacks, you're pretty much stuck at 8 times. Now the workaround here though is that you can proc multiple stacks of a legally modded holster when body shotting and getting multiple damage numbers via the pellet spread. That's right, it pays to be inaccurate. This will allow you to reach those max stacks of the perk quicker, taking full advantage of that 450% damage buff. Now this turns Phoneutria into a DPS monster. Granted, it is a little situation. You have to be up close compared to using Lucky Pants with a regular hand cannon. The output of damage, guys, is just too juicy. You can even use this combination with damage perks, or even the Hakke Breach Armaments origin trait to stack that 15% damage buff, which can shred a brick. So needless to say, if you're a hunter, give it a go. Try this hand cannon with Lucky Pants. Try to spread those pellets out so you can get multiple hits to reach those stacks as quickly as you can. Now this takes us to artifact synergies. When it comes to artifact synergies, we do have a couple things we can work with. Obviously, we have Unstoppable Hand Cannon, but another great option is Fever and Chill. This grants us Radiance on precision hits. Now this goes hand in hand with Radiant Shrapnel for the extra solar projectile damage. Now another option to push our damage even further is Cauterized Darkness. This grants our solar damage a 30% buff, so definitely take advantage of those. But this takes us to our Volatile mods. Now these are mods only present this week. They drop from the quests here at Ada. We've tested some of these live, and normally I wouldn't throw this in the review, considering that these are only present during Arms Week, but dude, these are some amazing mods. First up, we have Fragmentation Rounds, which state that precision final blows create explosive submunitions. This one basically creates little fragmentation grenades where you just kill the enemy. It does a decent amount of damage. Keep in mind though, it can also kill you. Next, we have Cowboy Grip. This one states that it supremely improves hip fire performance. Now what that translates to is that it increases our hip fire accuracy, along with providing our hand cannons increased fire rates, which I know doesn't mention that it was going to increase the fire rates, but it does. Lastly, we have Chaotic Munitions. This mod says that precision final blows produce randomized effects. Now this is probably the most interesting mod Bungie has ever given us. It truly does create a bunch of randomized effects, from random effects like Lawrence Shriver's Void Explosion, to creating a Stasis Crystal, to dropping a Ruinous FG Ore, to fake exotic Ingrams that can literally kill you, to donning surprise gifts that grant you ability energy, to spawning in a heavy brick, or even a solar scythe from Season the Hornets. When they say random, they mean it, man. Now in terms of which of these is the best, I think Chaotic Munitions is what I'm going to go for, guys, every single time. And it's not just Phoneutria here that you can use this on. You can literally use this for anything as long as it's a hand cannon. With that being said though, if you are going to be rocking Lucky Pants with Phoneutria this week, Cowboy Grip is actually pretty good. Considering you can fire faster from the hip, this is going to allow you to lead to quicker stacks of a legally modded holster. So with everything being said, what would I deem the God roll for this hand cannon? For PvP, I want anything that can push that range out. Hammer Forge, Accurized Rounds, Range Masterwork. In our third column though, I like Slideshot. That one's pretty good. Thread Remover is also a pretty good one. Barrel Constrictor is good, with maybe something like Swashbuckler in that final column. Not a lot of PvP options, and I will say that the Trials version of this hand cannon, to me, feels like the better PvP hand cannon, at least from my experience. But for my PvE players, with it being a solar weapon, and with us having solar artifact mods, guys, you got a lot of freedom here. You can go that melee-based build with proximity power plus 1-2 punch. You can go for a damage build for threat detector and surround it. You can completely commit to Incandescent and just go for this ad clearing weapon and just combine that with threats. What I will say is find ways to increase that reload speed, as well as your magazine size, whether it's a pendant mag, tac mag, which is why the tier 4 version of these weapons is so good, because you also get enhanced magazine. For instance, for my PvP players, Enhanced Accurized gives you plus 12 range. Enhanced Pendant Mag gives both plus 2 magazine size and also plus 2 reload. And then you have Tac Mag, which gives you the plus 1 to magazine, but also plus 11 to reload speed and plus 6 to stability. I still wouldn't go extended mag, simply because it hurts your reload speed, but it does give you +3 to your mag size. Whatever the case, Phoneutria is an incredibly unique hand cannon, and we already have another one that we're going to be comparing it to very, very soon. Now, if you're interested to see what it can do inside of PvP, we already did a live review of it. Yes, it does have the ability to 1 crit, 1 body, but when we start breaking down the Trials hand cannon, we will have a proper comparison between the two, because there is a play style here, and it's funky. This archetype is one of the few archetypes that has the ability to 1v3 a Trials team. No lie. We'll be talking about that more here soon. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.